Polaris has come a long way since the turn of the new millennium. Once the market leader, they have focused intently on regaining that leadership position. And while the IQ introduced mid-decade was a significant event, I can tell you right now, model year 2011 marks the dawning of a new day for the Roseau, Minnesota manufacturer. When the RUSH was first unveiled 2 years ago, it was clear Polaris was bent on reinventing the snowmobile in an effort to recapture industry-leading sales volumes. The RUSH was no small deal. The chassis introduced the sport's first true progressive rear suspension using a radical external shock-over tunnel system that has more sizzle and eye-candy appeal than anything we've seen in the past 20 years. All the sizzle in the world won't cut it with today's ride-conscious snowmobilers if a new design doesn't deliver the beef. ProRide is the real deal, setting a new standard for bottomless response and amazing weight transfer. Suspension coupling, used universally in the industry the past 10 years, is a great way to prevent bottoming and improve ride quality, but comes with a substantial cost. Coupling essentially removes a snowmobile's ability to lift its nose and skis when you whack the loud handle. ProRide is not coupled, so when you wick it, the RUSH responds with huge wheelies like an early 90s big-inch trail rocket. After last year's successful intro of the RUSH, using a 600 Liberty Cleanfire under hood, we knew it was time for Polaris to get serious and give us what we really wanted. We wanted a 150 horsepower, 800cc Liberty, and we didn't want them to send along last year's 4-injector mid-range stutter for the ride. Last spring, we rode the reinvented 800cc Liberty Cleanfire with just 2 injectors and tested it against the 800cc 2-stroke industry benchmark, Skidoo's formidable E-Tech 800. After repeated comparisons, we were convinced the new Polaris 800 CFI was toe-to-toe with the E-Tech 800. Of course, this performance would have to be validated by our hands-on testing with real production 800s. While we can't verify how the 800 Liberty Cleanfire will perform with 3,000 or 4,000 miles on the clock, we can say this with conviction. This is the most potent, most fuel-efficient, and most smoke-free 800 Polaris has delivered to date. No discussion of the RUSH chassis can be complete without disclosing how well the chassis handles. Initial turn-in when approaching a moguled curve is incredibly linear and proportional to the amount of handlebar angle the rider inputs. Feedback through the chassis as the sled heels over in response to a turn is almost telepathic. The chassis unloads the inside ski while pressing the outside ski deep into white top as it cuts an arc that's incredibly confidence-inspiring and positive. We've raved about Polaris IQ handling since that platform arrived mid-decade. We want to make something perfectly clear though. The new RUSH bonded platform is tangibly stiffer, flatter, and more controllable than even the old IQ, or for that matter, anything else with skis. This particular RUSH 800 Pro R with its Walker Evans clicker reservoir shocks has become one of our favorite sleds on bumpy trails. For the record, we run the compression clickers at 0 most of the time, only adding more damping when the running gets fast as the bumps deepen. And we're going to make this 100% clear right now. This 1970s TX-themed graphic presentation isn't just sweet or cool, it's downright horny. Everyone around here thinks this is one of the best looking sleds of model year 2011. This graphic presentation catches plenty of attention. It's worth noting Polaris has worked hard to lessen the somewhat stubby look ProRide inevitably creates from a side profile. Last year's presentation appeared to have the rider positioned up in the air, almost like riding a bar stool. This year, careful graphic design and a complete redo of the rear snow flap bodywork allows the ProRide to occupy less space visually while smoothing the overall look of the vehicle. Part of the restyle out back was necessitated by the addition of a rear cooler in the articulating portion of the ProRide linkage. Even though this extra cooler was not necessary for RUSH models using the 600 CFI motor, it is included on all RUSH ProRides in model year 2011. If you think we sound pretty amped about the 800 Pro R RUSH, you would be 100% correct. This snowmobile represents some of the freshest and most innovative thinking to come to the snowmobile industry in the past decade. If you haven't tried one, then you haven't felt the RUSH.